Transformative.
Peace, everyone. Welcome back to Trust Fund Baby Community. I know it's been a minute. That's not my fault. We've been working on a lot of developments, tech things, everything, making sure we have the government contract and software and things in place for you all, the grant software. We actually have the Loom demonstrations in place so y'all can actually see how the software works. I'll make sure that you all get access to that in the community in case you have interest in utilizing any of those services. And oh yeah, I also was working on the private mentorship and the VIP day situation. So with my other company that I'm partnered in, Ocean Play Productions, we have access to like 40 different yachts, and also one of my partners on a yacht. So we I wanted to establish a VIP day where people can just come out. We can build, we have somebody cater stuff and we go out on the water. You make sure you have all your stuff together by the time you leave, whether if it's a 1 day, 2 day thing. So we made sure that we incorporated all of those things into that system. On top of we got a lot of things we've been working on to make sure that that system will be viable for everybody. Because one of the things that I've seen when we work in the community is that it's difficult for me to be able to get you all together at the same time. Everybody got their own schedule. Everybody got whatever they got going on personally. So that was one of the main reasons why I see the importance of me doing the mentorship program, even though I like having my time and my peace. So there are only so many slots that I am available to take through our mentorship programs. And from it's three different tiers. The first tier is probably like it goes monthly or weekly depending on what your schedule is. So clearly if you're going weekly, you're gonna be able to finish a lot faster. But it's different week time frames or week session frames depending on whichever tier that you're in for the mentorship program. But one is set for government contracting in the second tier, and the third tier is pretty much Dow investment programs, everything. The goal is so that you can, if you go into the first tier, you can segue into the other ones. But it's easy. I made sure that it was financially feasible for people, even though it may not seem like it. If you follow the steps, it's easy for you to be able to do some of those things. But outside of that, peace, everybody. What's going on? So today we are going over. That's that killer ass dog over there. The dog is crazy. We going over status correction today. So if you all have any questions, please, like I said, matter of fact, everybody come off mic. We gonna go around see who here. I know it was a few people who was in that had dropped out. Um, Miss Diamond, please come off the mic. Please introduce yourself and let the people know what it is that you're looking to learn out of class tonight, so I can make sure that I can assist you all properly.
Hey, hey, peace, peace, y'all. I'm Diamond from Michigan. But what I want to learn off the status class is to understand the importance of it, how to utilize it correctly, and how you get your family status corrected correctly.
Cool. I most definitely appreciate that. Who's next? Who's next? Who's next? Please introduce yourself and let everybody know what it is you're trying to get out of class tonight so we can make sure that we can get you there. Close my phone.
Peace, everyone. I'm Jay. I'm just here to just learn how to reprogram myself into the status correction to be able to do so for me, my son, and my family.
Okay,
Same way
your mic a little muffled, bro. Say that. Can you repeat that one more time for me? I want to make sure I heard you.
Peace, everyone. I'm Jay. I'm here to just reprogram myself in the status correction. I want to be able to do so for me, my family, and I'm at work, so
Oh no, it's all G, bro. I appreciate you being even, tapping in while you at work. So if you need to, or if you got to, use the chat or come off mic whenever you need to if it's something that you missed. So we'll make sure that we can, get you wherever you need the information. So you don't gotta keep going back to the replay.
Bet. That's a bet.
Who next? I got two more. Let's go.
What's up, y'all? It's Indigo. And I'm just learning. I kind of guess kind of piece some bits together from what I've been picking up from from just years of kind of hearing about status correction. Just I guess clarify appellation, the importance of genealogy in the process of this, and I guess at the end, I guess how it would uh, be beneficial and how you kind of like operate and especially in, talk about government contracting and things like that, how that could be a play in those scenarios.
Okay. And as Indigo, who DM, you the last one. Charlicia was here too. And a lot of people ask me for the replay. I hate the replay stuff because y'all gonna text me with questions. That's why I'm like, please be here, please be here. That's why I pushed it from the other week because people had birthday parties, everything. I'm like, but we got to do it because I told y'all we was gonna do it at the beginning of November, and I want to get this out the way so that we can move on to some of the other stuff. So, DM, what is it you trying to get tonight?
Hey, I guess I'm really just trying to learn, like how to use it in, um, I don't know if it like incorporates like not being detained, but I would like to learn that.
Okay, let me type that in here. And the list. I will go over that. It is separate, but it works together. But I'll make sure I'll go over that for you all. So
Wait, I have another question.
yes, ma'am.
Um, does it also go over like uh being like tax exempt, or is that something else as well?
Yes, we can. We'll go over the tax exempt aspect. Tax exempt.
Okay, thank you.
And shout out to Donald Trump for winning the election. He said he may want to get rid of the whole IRS. Income tax is a farce, man. It's like I give you $1 for a service, that same dollar goes to somebody else, and then that same dollar goes to somebody else. But there's a tax every time that dollar gets transferred. And who benefits off that tax? The United States. So they print the money and then they make money off of every time that, well, they print the fiat dollar and then they get more interest or credits, or let me say the exact words, off of every time that the currency is moved about, which is crazy as hell. They don't have to do nothing. It's super pimp. Like it's G as hell. It really is. Because just think about it. I make something and every time somebody else touches it, just that's another concept that we can utilize. Like just imagine if it was like something that's not edible, like a pencil. Every time somebody got a pencil or a pen from somebody else, because we know people, even lighters and pens, every time that shit changed somebody else's hand, the original owner or the original creator gets more money off of it. Imagine that shit happen every time somebody picked up your lighter or somebody picked up your pen or pencil. That is what happens with interest and tax, man. It's crazy. Okay, so appellation genealogy, rescinded instruments, traveling internationally. All right, all right, all right, all right. Okay, so let me share this. Um, okay, so this is based on a prompt I have put in. These are some points that just general questions that we can build off of in order to build a good foundation of what status correction is and how it pertains to nationality and how we're supposed to implement it and those importances on top of the things that you all just asked about. So right here, introduction to status correction and nationality, definitions and importance, explaining what status correction and nationality means and why they matter, historical background, discussing the origins of nationality, including historical, legal precedents, and societal impact. And then the purpose of status correction, outline why someone might pursue status correction. Example, personal sovereignty, legal autonomy, and then we overview the status correction aspect. So let's define what status correction is. I'm about to say, this is the easiest way to work through the information. Do it piece by piece because it's better for us to see it versus you go off my words and my understanding. Correct? Feel free to come off mic. Yo, shout out to Cortland. This motherfucker got good SEO. He's the first thing that come up when I type that in. So I can't even go on bro page. So let me show y'all what come up when we type in status correction on the internet. Present screen share. That shit was hilarious. Okay, so right here, for those of you who don't know, this is
Oh
Cortland.
yeah.
Yeah, right here. I said long master. That's why I was like, he got good SEO. He the first thing that pop up when you type that shit in. Like, I'm not gonna hate. Like, that's right. That's good. That's good. So authenticate your birth certificate, and it's just like this is a general search. So we're gonna work through what the things I wish I could still like stream with y'all and then like do the search on the search engines that I use privately. But the way it works, I can't be on the internet this way. So I may have to do a video recording of like what the actual internet will say about this versus Google because well, this is Bing, but even still, it's completely different. So status correction, step-by-step process, authenticating birth certificate. This is from, and there are misconceptions even about the authentication of the birth certificate aspect. I personally, because I understand what it means to authenticate a birth certificate, in my mind, that does not correct your individual status. You're just saying that business entity is operating outside of the United States jurisdiction when you get that status done in that aspect. So if you are making a claim that this entity is an American, not a United States citizen, that may be one of the reasons why you do something like that. I can understand that. So we have immigration documents on how to correct and update and replace. Adjustment of status. So determine you are eligible to apply for a green card, U.S. immigration laws. You or someone else must file an immigrant petition. So these are when you and it's so crazy that we having this conversation with the stuff that Donald Trump just said recently because he's against he's talking about mass deportation and what is it um birth is when somebody it's when a foreigner comes on the land and they have a child here, so technically that child, so this is I literally had this conversation with somebody on Clubhouse last night. Both of his parents are Mexican. He was born in Texas because his parents literally just crossed the border so that he can be an American citizen, and that's something that Donald Trump is trying to put a stop to. So then when we have an understanding that all of this status stuff, it coincides with immigration laws, you must be mindful of how you represent yourself in relationship to the United States of America, especially when we're in such a tumultuous climate, because there's literally, I don't recommend that people completely separate themselves from the business entity because it provides protections that you don't have on your own. Now, if you belong to a tribe, that's different. But once it's all pertaining to your political status. So correcting your political status. Let's look at this. National and federal states.com. So correcting your political status. Declaring your independence again. It is important to understand and who and what you are when you were born. It is critical to understand how you have been removed from your lawful political status and moved into a legal political status from birth, and and that it happened when you are still in the crib. That is not necessary. That part right there is not true. The origin portion of the creation of this happens when it's the separation of the placenta from the mother. So there's a court case from Ohio. let me see if I can. I'm gonna look it up while we still working through some of this stuff. But it's a court case from Ohio, and it says that they document the death of the placenta, and that is the time frame when they actually make the birth certificate from, because the baby itself doesn't die. Like the baby itself, the living soul is still living, because birth certificates, corporate entities, all these corporations are representations of fictitious entities, which are also representations of dead things. So this is why you have to also understand it's a separation between you, the living entity, and the corporate all caps entity. And this is what they're talking about. They bring you from an equitable position. Remember when we had the conversation or the class when we talked about equity, they bring you from a just and fair position over into a corporate body, because business can only do business with another business. You, as a living soul, they literally have to bring you into a system so that they can leverage off of your energy, so that they can tax you. They create all of these benefits and privileges, and per you come into the system, you are allotted these things. But you don't have a certain level of control because they're operating as your trustee until you become knowledgeable. And this is one of the main things what we're talking about, making sure that you are understood, that you can be respected in a lawful position, and that you control your business in a legal position so that nobody else has say so over what happens to that entity without you having any beneficial interest in your decision making. This is what a status correction is really about. So, the moments your birth are the state national, Floridian, Georgian, Virginian, state national, which you were born. Your state nationality, just soil, is altered by the state registration by your name. So, a state national. So that's damn. Make a note. Let me make a note of this real quick so I don't forget. We need to talk about jurisdiction again. I'm gonna look for the Ohio case about the placenta in a second. So let me come back over here. Okay. Moment of your birth certificate, national, state national. So there's state nationals, there's American citizens, there are private citizens. They are people who want to be considered sovereign citizens who don't want to be a part of any of those political parties or any of those documentation protections. And then there are indigenous Americans, all separate jurisdictions. We will touch on that shortly after we go through this. Hospital creates a long form certificate of live birth with the baby's autograph footprint, submits the document to your birth state's registrar, which is your Department of Vital Statistics, where processing is being conveyed and crib napped. That's their own term. They copyright that, for your correct lawful political status and state national into legal political status of the United States citizen. So when we talk about United States citizen, this is how they bring you into the legal protections of the 14th Amendment. Because remember, the 14th Amendment specifically only speaks on three parties initially. It is the European white male, American Indians not taxed, and persons. So by them doing this, this is how you become a 14th Amendment citizen, through this enrollment, through this documentation, because now you are one of those legally protected persons, or at least the entity is. So the main way how they attach this to my DJ band all caps is they do something like a hate. It's called in court. It's called a habeas corpus, and that's when they put a warrant out for your body. So per the business entity, through documentation like habeas corpus, that's how they're able to twist the narrative and try and make it seem like one thing is another, or two things can be true at the same time. And they can be, but in this instance, this isn't the case. You are not that entity. It may be named after the name that your parents gave you, but you're not that entity. It's no difference than Sean Carter brand, Jay-Z brand, Puff Diddy brand, all of these different brands, corporate entities. Those are not the living individual. Those are copyrighted entities with bank accounts and EIN numbers. That's completely separate business. So, questions so far. Questions. I'm about to pull this court case.
I got a question. Is the habeas corpus connected to like the what's that trust? The
Trust.
Sestacue?
Yeah,
Sestacue?
they put the habeas corpus out for the entity that's attached to the Sister Trust, which is what they call your legis, your straw man, your all caps name. That's what
Okay,
the habeas corpus got to be in. The habeas corpus is never going to be in your name in proper English, like first letter uppercase, the rest lowercase. You're never going to see that. It's always going to be all caps because the business can only do business with another business legally.
got you. And I might be jumping ahead here with the just solely. The just solely is the right to soil, and just sanguinis is it right by blood?
Yes.
Okay, got you.
Um, I actually think I sent this to myself years ago, fam. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it. Ohio. Oh shit! I guess I found it. Let me see. Ohio Code. Report of finding child. Whoever's finding. Child has been placed care of person superintendent manager. This is the birth records for Ohio. Let me run one more. So I got a lot of stuff from Ohio in here. Um, Ohio. So let me go back through this. I'm gonna pull it after we go through Q&A. Understanding jurisdiction and legal framework. So I'll ask all of you all, what type of status do you believe that you want personally? Do you know? Are you aware of? Are you aware of the different types?
Um, I guess I don't know the actual verbiage of the type that I'm looking for, but ultimately, I guess to be able to kind of connect it to whatever tribal circumstance. But I mean, only
Okay,
if
so
it,
you want tribal. You're looking for tribal benefits, tribal status. There
yeah.
are people like how we read just recently. Like there are state nationals.
Okay.
You feel me? So it's people who will be like they will be under the Republic of Florida, the Republic of Michigan, and then they fall in line with the state constitution of Florida or the state of Michigan.
Right.
Same like it would be American nationals and they fall in line with the United States Constitution. So if you're going underneath these tribal jurisdictions, one thing I'm gonna show y'all is like what one of our constitutions look like. It's based off of my tribal lineage, off of the Lenape people. But we have a constitution which we abide by, which provides a government and a jurisdictional body. And this information, where it came from outside of my tribal aspect, the elders who helped me to finalize in order to get it recorded for my particular nuclear family, they stuff was overseen and looked at by other government officials, and they was just like, these aren't things that you share with the open world. So this the
Mhm.
information I'm showing y'all, my stuff that I have right here, these have judge exemplification. So they've been signed and looked at by a judge, and they recorded in public systems right
So if, for example, I guess if you're, I mean, for whatever reason, if genealogy doesn't actually trace to a specific tribe, or you can't find the documentation after all of whatever type of genealogy work you get done, is there a way to establish your own tribe by like assembly? But would you position it, I guess, in a different way, as far as like the type of status that you would want to change to?
now.
If you,
Everybody come from somewhere. That's the thing. Is just everybody don't always like where they come from because they're if you've done a family tree and you've gotten past the 1900s into the 1800s, there are records of either your people always being here or them coming from somewhere else, whether it's the islands or if it's parts of Africa. So it's very important for your sake of your political, social political status that you can tie yourself into your own ancestry. That way that you can get those actual legal benefits that are set aside per your bloodline, nobody else's. It is a crazy thing. And I'm so thankful for my walk in life just to be like, you're a Moor, everybody's a Moor. Like that's outlandish, fam. Per religious protections and explaining that Morano or melanated people were expressed as this particular thing between Indian and Moor, depending on the time frame and the culture, understood. But saying that everybody is a Moorish American and putting them underneath this umbrella, remember the Moors were conquerors and they were colonizers as well in some aspects. They were tyrants. They had concubines. These are our people, melanated men with beards and everything, look just like us. I'm Moorish by bloodline. I'm also Lenape by blood. I have intermixing in my history, but it's just understanding that everybody is not a Moorish American. And what the Moorish American or the Moorish society did when it was the Ottoman Empire, they had a projected jurisdiction. They were overseas. And per government rule, is just think about it like how the queen still to this day controls land, our king now still controls land that they decrepit geriatric self can't go do nothing about. It's not like they walking around be like, oh, this is mine, but they have a projected jurisdiction over this landmass that these people respect. And it was the same thing over here in the Americas because kings and other nations were warring and fighting, and it was like, we want this land, this rich land, with all of these people over here that know nothing about nothing because we were just out here living our life, minding our business. So it created a dynamic that could, the way it happened when they got here from the Portuguese wars, all the way the French wars, when the Europeans came out with Christopher Columbus and all of that stuff, when by the time we got settled and the United States was already established after 1776, it was treaties in place and everything. And then you have it was, I don't like to use the word racist, but it was a political offsetting from like people like Walter Plecker and stuff. And then we have whitewashing in history where they will say that people who were American Indians in some aspect where they couldn't read or they couldn't speak. But what they meant was they couldn't read or speak English. These people were intelligent. They understood their languages. It was to this standard. And then they was also calling light-skinned people mulattoes. Most of these light skinned people were American Indians. They were calling dark skinned Indians black Negroes when most of these people are American Indians. And if you were called an American Indian, your life was at risk at this time as well. So a lot of people still to this day, their family members won't acknowledge some of these things because of some of the mental strain that some of their grandparents went through back in the day. Because shit even happened to me when I was younger. When I was in elementary school, they wanted my mom to cut my hair, and it's just these things are ingrained into the education system, into European academia in the United States society, and we will think that certain things are possible just because the way history has been contorted. But a lot of those dark skinned people that you see, if they haven't left this place, there's a super strong possibility they're an American Indian. There were tribes that wanted to be documented. There were tribes that didn't want to be documented. And we just have to have an understanding of the region the individual comes from. And then if you have people that are from the 1800s in the Georgia area, more than likely they're related to the Creek, the Choctaw, the Muskogee. Those are the tribes in that region. If they were in Florida, it was Seminoles down here. So it's a regional thing when it comes to your genealogy as well, because we would be with who we were with. Like it wouldn't be, not to say that other tribes wouldn't barter. Like we have powwows in other tribes, we gotta have harvest times, all types of stuff, neighboring areas. But our families lived with our families. So if your family was in a certain region, if they owned certain things at this time, it is a super strong possibility that they belong to one of these particular tribes. Now, if you go back further enough and you see records of people coming over on boats, We then have to do the international record pool to see what you are entitled to as an indigenous person from that area. There's indigenous people are indigenous all over the world, but we're in America. So when we say indigenous, we're mainly talking about here. And I also have to express this to people from the islands and stuff.